This week in Conversations, I had a chance to sit down with Emily DuPreez, and we had a fascinating conversation about music, faith, lament in Christian music, the Christian music industry, and we even learned about her favorite YouTube videos. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this first episode. Emily, welcome to the first of our conversation series. And yeah, really appreciate you doing this.
Oh yeah, thanks for asking me. I love this stuff. So yeah. I'm curious if I'm going to give you the answers that you're looking for, but we're going to try it anyways.
I'm not really, I don't know what I'm looking for, so just a good time. So perfect. I want to start today with like a segment that I'm calling Rapid Fire.
Rapid Fire.
Here we go. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Night person.
What is your favorite hobby that you think other people should try?
Knitting.
Knitting. What is something that annoys you?
Oh gosh. When the toilet paper is like, it comes from underneath rather than on top.
Oh, you're one of those people. Okay.
I'm one of those,
awesome.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Honestly, I check my phone.
You're addicted. Where would you go if you were invisible?
Oh gosh. I have never thought of that. I don't know, like CIA or FBI or something, and just like be a fly on the wall.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you?
Oh, like a 10. Gosh, is that even a question?
Let's just imagine that you were able to purchase a yacht. What would you call it?
The SS Minnow.
Just sit right
It's ironic too. It's like the ship that, first of all, it sunk and crashed in like Gilligan's Island, so that's not good. But also a yacht called a minnow. I think that's very funny.
If you could be a part of any sitcom cast, which one do you wish you could be a cast member of?
I don't know. Maybe like Modern Family or Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Is that just the show you're watching right now?
Yes, that is the show I'm watching right now.
That's so funny. I could see you on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You could be.
Oh my gosh.
You could be Linetti replacement.
Yes.
Oh, I like this question. Mm-hmm. If your plane was about to crash, who would you want sitting next to you?
Oh man. Well, it would probably be Franco.
So you'd wish his death upon him.
Oh, awkward. I didn't think about that part. Sorry.
That's why I like this question.
Yeah, that's interesting. Would I wish my worst enemy or my closest?
Yeah.
Interesting. I would probably want somebody close to me, because I'd be absolutely terrified. So either my mom or my dad or Franco. Sorry, guys, you're dying.
You're dying. She's taking you down with her. What's a telltale sign of whether somebody's a nerd or not?
If they have a collection of something, it takes up a whole room, or it's over like, I don't know, $1,000, $1,500, then they're probably verging on nerddom.
Yeah. I hope Adam Quinn is watching in his room with all those Legos. This collection.
Hey,
nerd alert. Okay, cool. You have successfully completed what I'm calling the rapid fire round. So congratulations.
Yay.
Rapid Fire.
So before we ended up meeting up here on Zoom, I gave you a little bit of homework to pick out some of your favorite funny videos from the internet. Can you tell us all what you shared with me?
Yes. Oh my goodness. They're hilarious. Well, at least I think they are. The first one, or one of the ones that I selected, is one about putting on a pair of shoes.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love that one. What's the next one you got for us?
It's one about I think it's a cockatoo. It's a type of bird. It's very cute.
That is so good. I love that one. I just got to be honest. This last one, I don't know if you got to explain it to me.
Okay. So I guess they were very bored when they made this video, and I'm assuming there's a lot of pain involved, but I couldn't not find it hilarious.
Oh, well, hey, Emily, thanks for sharing those videos because they're awesome.
Sure.
Obviously, we know you. We feel like we know you really well because you're a very friendly and outgoing person, but we really just barely know you. I mean, How long have you guys been in Perry Sound now? Is it a year?
It's coming up on a year. We came here July of last year, so we're getting close now, which is crazy. Time went by so quickly.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that we knew about you right from day one was that you're a musician, and I kind of wanted to peel back some of the layers of what it took to become who you are today. So when do you remember first getting into music?
So I was actually in kinder music, which is like preschool, but like music based. So I've been doing music lessons, specifically piano, since I was like 4, like a long time.
Did people recognize like you having a gift early on, or?
Yeah, my parents definitely fed into that. And then I went to a Christian school my whole life. I've been in Christian schools my whole life. And every Wednesday at my school, we did chapel. And so as soon as I was old enough, I was on worship teams, and that I can still very much remember, like the first time I had a solo. I was the youngest of all my peers. And so it was really nerve-wracking. But I had a lot of really good mentors, not just like my parents encouraging me, but the leaders at the school who saw my gift and encouraged that growth.
We know that you created an album. So like, how did that come to be? Like, where did you get the idea to start an album?
I had no desire when I was younger to do post-secondary education.
Okay.
Until I found out that I could go for music. And then I was like, oh, well, yeah, obviously I'm going to go. So I went to check out a school in BC, a school in Manitoba, and then a school in rural Alberta, which was directed by Brian Dirksen, which is wild and cool.
For those of the listeners that don't know, who's Brian Dirksen?
Come, now is the time to... No, that's not him.
Oh, that's not him?
Yes, it is. Sorry, had a brain moment. Yes, or Refiner's Fire, My Heart's One Desire. That's him.
Classics.
Yeah, very much classics.
Okay. And he was a nice guy. Like, he wasn't...
Oh my gosh.
Like, these hits didn't go to his head. Like, you know, I'm kind of the world's gift to Christian music.
Well, we think he is.
Yeah.
But he, like, seriously, one of the most, like, introverted and humble guys that I know.
Would you consider him a producer on Here We Go, which is Emily's album?
Yeah, definitely. He, like, a lot of those songs on the album were actually assignments in class, where he's like, okay guys, your assignment for this week, you have to write me like a metaphor song, or you have to write a song in this format, or that kind of stuff.
Of the songs on the album, which one's your favorite?
My favorite that's an original is probably Like the Birds.
The sun that tucked me into bed rises once again to wake me up. My drowsy eyes are opened by the sound of your morning song.
Like
Probably
the Birds.
Like the Birds. Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of an assignment was that one?
That one was a metaphor song.
Okay, tell us a little bit about what it is about.
It's just about starting an adventure. The title of my EP, Here We Go, is actually a lyric in that song. It's like one of the pre-choruses.
Here we go, leaving land behind. We soar above the clouds, horizons to be found.
And it's just talking about, you know, a metaphor of like birds taking off, and it's kind of like people stepping out into new things or traveling and going cool places. It's got a very like Parisian feel. Like there's an accordion in there, and it's just very like, yeah.
I liked that one. I liked the arrangement of that one. It was cool. Here's what I see now. I see that you're doing music full time in sort of this eclectic way. You have some music students, you do some playing out at restaurants and wherever you get gigs. Is that your goal, to just have music be a part of the fabric of your life? Or is your goal to be playing shows and producing more albums? Yeah, what is your goal?
Yeah, you know what? I really like how you put it as like just part of the fabric of who I am and what my life is like. Like I thought about it and I'm like, I don't know if I would want to make it big, because then like I would have no life. I would still love to keep recording. That's actually kind of what I'm trying to navigate right now with all the COVID stuff. I'm trying to figure out, I was going to do recording this year, probably not going to happen, but yeah, just trying to keep pumping out songs, keep working, because it's kind of like a muscle, right? The more you write, the stronger your writing muscles get. And so I want to keep working on that.
So how does what you're doing with your life and your relationship with God, what's that intersection like? Or has there been an intersection where you're like, God, what am I doing with this music gift that I have?
I think maybe one thing that I had to think about was like, I don't really write overtly Christian music. So it's like, is this okay? Like I had this big wrestling, like, is it okay for me as a Christian to not write worship music or to not write Christian pop music? Like, is that okay for me? And actually, like music is this is going to sound kind of strange, but music is a very like spiritual thing. You know, there's like God moves through music, whether it's Christian or otherwise. You know, you could go to a concert and just have like a really clear God moment, just like a lyric hits you in a different way that you're like, wow, Lord, I really needed that. You know, just like that encouragement. And so that's kind of what I determined that I was going to try and do. A lot of the songs I write about is like relationally, you know, so just like a purity in relationship and genuine Christ-centered love in relationship, and try to like communicate that without having to actually say it, you know?
I know Crystal had a pretty cool experience at, I was a Mumford & Son concert. I don't know if you know Mumford & Sons too much, but she remembered feeling like it was like, I don't want to put words in Crystal's mouth, so sorry, Crystal, if I'm just doing this a disservice, but she can clear it up after. But I remember her coming back and being like, it was like almost worshipful. Like she felt like transferred into like this different realm, you know? Music can be sort of transcendent. I think it's something about the authenticity of like people's heart cry. You know, like St. Augustine, he says like, you know, everybody's made to find happiness in the same God. So we're all searching for happiness, and we're all actually searching for the same thing. So when people cry out in desperation for something, for that thing, they're actually crying out to God. And so I think sometimes we feel that and we sense it in people's music. But now that brings me to like worship music, like, and modern Christian pop music. Do you think there's a sense in which, do you love those industries, or do they sort of frustrate you at times?
They're trying their best in one way. They want to communicate like God's love and grace and compassion for the world through their music. And I think that is a huge endeavor, and props to them. It frustrates me when I hear a song and I could hear that they made like one draft of lyrics and they were content with that, and they didn't try and like develop any kind of like imagery, or it's all like, you know, you get songs that's like, your love is like a fire, your love is like an ocean, your love is like a whatever, and it's like, can you pick one thing to talk about and just like not give us all these 10,000 metaphors? Anyways, that's another thing that like annoys me. Fun fact.
Okay, so obviously you love leading worship, but there's a sense in which you're frustrated with like the cookie cutter, like one size fits all music that's being produced for Christians.
Yeah. I think for me, I think I was talking a little bit more about like Christian pop music, like what you hear on the radio. Like, I don't know if you guys have like a Christian station out here back in Calgary. It's like Shine FM, you know, and it's like, it's just like the same stuff over and over. It's like, I was in this place, but then you brought me out of it. And so you stay here like for like 2 seconds, and then you're in this like, everything is all good and happy and God is with me and everything's going to be fine. But like, you don't actually address issues anymore, you know?
Yeah, you're totally right. The Christian pop music has that tendency, and we don't want to put the whole thing under the bus, but like there's just this general tendency I think we're talking about is that it just, everything's too clean. It's too neat and tidy, and people don't relate with it with their real lives. And so, I mean, you don't want a song that's about pain and like, you know, somebody's father dying to be resolved and they're in a happy place now. Like, you know, there should be some like, you know, there's a wrestling.
In worship music, there are some artists who are taking steps to try and address like the now everything is all good feelings, you know. There's like a little bit more, I don't know if it's just musically, but they're trying to implement some like lament a little bit, which I think is so important in our worship gatherings to address that not all people are in a happy place, you know, and like to address that and give them space to worship in that place.
This is an interesting thing I wouldn't mind talking to you about. So I would, let's actually just start by, what does lament mean to you? For those who maybe aren't familiar with that word, what do you mean when you say songs of lament?
Yeah, so just like the book of Psalms is full of lament, you know, like, how long, O Lord, will you forget me, right? And just like this heart cry of feeling alone. Do you kind of understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's sort of you're crying out to God.
Yeah, you're crying out to God, and it's not always like a God, you're so good kind of crying out. It's kind of like God, I'm so mad right now. And like space for that. I know for me, sometimes I can't, like if I'm going through a phase like that, I don't know, the worship gathering can sometimes
be
frustrated. Yeah.
That's actually, I think a lot of people will resonate with that. Just this idea that you can come to the worship gathering and sing songs about basically these upbeat songs that are about like how great everything is. And that can be frustrating. So having a Christian response to being in a place of depression, or a Christian response to being in a place of anger, I think it is important. But I've heard in the last couple of years some responses from artists that have I think they're trying to make these songs of lament, and some of them I think really fall short. Because I think that while it is important to lament, it does a disservice to Christianity if you stay. You don't have to resolve it, but you have to acknowledge who God is in the midst of it. And sometimes I think I wish I could remember the song because we could look at the lyrics, but there's this one song, and I really feel like it just wallows in like my feelings. Like I'm feeling, it's sort of we're not singing a lament anymore. We're singing a dirge of like, woe is me. And if you don't, I think part of the lament is like acknowledging that even though you do feel this pain, that God is still who he says he is.
Absolutely.
Do you kind of agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I can't remember what psalm I just quoted. I think it was 13. How long, O Lord? That one. He's going through all of these things, and he's like, this is awful, and this is terrible, and I'm being pursued, and blah, 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 blah. And then at the very end, he's like, but I will trust in your unfailing love. Like, God, you're in control of this. This is just how I'm seeing my situation right now. You know, like I still trust in you. You know, there's like a tiny little resolution. It doesn't tie everything up with a nice bow and say that everything is okay. It just says that this is still my core belief. This is just what's happening right now.
I think that's it. That to me is like the Christian version of lament. Anything short of that is secular in that it's hopeless. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's no hope. So now I got to ask, you're creative musically, you write your own stuff. Why not Emily writing a lament for Christian worship? You know, have you ever thought about that?
Oh, I've thought about it. I have. When you come to Christian music, not only do you have to like do a good job with like music and lyrics and all that kind of stuff, but you have to make sure everything is still logically and theologically sound. And it's like this whole new level. And I don't know, it's a very daunting task, in my opinion. I haven't worked that muscle at all. It's very weak. So I don't know.
So maybe there's just a little bit of nervousness in tackling what you see as sort of the sacred.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got good perspective on it. See, here's what I would say is like, I think you're right to have sort of a reverence towards writing songs about who God is. I think people ought to write worship songs with that sort of reverence, and definitely people have been writing songs without it. So I would say I want to encourage you, don't let the steepness of that obstacle deter you from trying it, because what's the harm?
One of my friends, her and I are trying to write a worship song. It's still a work in progress because both of us, that's an area where we're both very weak. So we are trying to approach this task. I think it's good that we're trying it together, and you can bounce ideas rather than like, and you can be like, wait a second, is that theologically okay? Oh, wait, you might be right about that. Just like kind of figure it out with two heads,
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Emily, it's been really good talking with you. And I just want to say thank you for being willing to do it.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking.